a historically bad loss for the Florida Gators football team. And it's not the first time this year that we're saying that we have to talk about this on the All Kinds of Weather forecast, as Florida is just absolutely sledgehammered by a bad Kentucky team, furthering their descent into the abyss. We'll talk about all that today. I'm Neil Shulman at All Kinds of Weather on Twitter and Instagram. He's Adrian Perez at ADNDEL personally, and at Gator Diamond Pod for all the stickball stuff that he does such a great job with, including there was a scrimmage today. Something, I guess, more positive to look forward to. I mean, you know things are bad with Gator football when you've got a head coach in baseball who's on a leave of absence, your top assistant gets poached by a rival, and you're still looking at the baseball program as a source of a pick-me-up moment. Of course, basketball has just started now too. We'll talk about all that, but yeah, this isn't going to be pretty, but got to shout out our sponsors before we go any further. 401k Generation, the wealth management company that helps you invest today for your future tomorrow. Their team of advisors is committed to providing guidance and education for your 401k plan and its participants. And they also offer a range of enrollment solutions tailored to meet the unique needs of your company's 401k plan. Whether it's savings for your child's college, investment advice, or even your retirement, 401k Generation's team of advisors makes getting to know you their top priority. Their advisors will tailor a path to assist you in navigating life's financial milestones and reaching your financial goals. That's 401k Generation, building stronger futures one generation at a time. For more information, contact them 866-998-5879 or visit their website 401kgeneration.com. And on that note, well, football season has not been very joyful for any of us who root for the Florida Gators. But if you want to at least salvage some financial consolation prize, definitely check out our Patreon, patreon.com/CFBforecaster. That's where you'll get a lot of the secret sauce to Dustin Smith's model. Dustin, of course, has the model batting about 60% for the year now against the spread. So again, you want to make money 6 out of 10 times, you're going to do it with his model. So also going to get some early data drops, deeper analytics breakdowns, even the ability to request custom simulations for your team a little bit down the road. So your support will directly help us to continue to improve the already most data-driven model in college football. Patreon.com/CFBforecaster. Okay. This was just disgusting. Florida actually had the lead early in this game. They led after one quarter, but then it just got ugly, and it got ugly fast. Kentucky winning the game 38-7. That 31-point final margin doesn't do justice to just how disgraceful this game was. So, Adrian, we usually do talk positives first. I'll let you take the first stab at that. I can go for about 20 seconds after you do, because we got a lot of not so positive things to talk about. But was there anything in this game that made you not want to just smash your remote into a million pieces?
Not really. Positives. I'm trying to think. Positives.
I got two. And I'll go 10 seconds with each one. Rocco Underwood getting downfield, hustling. You like that. You respect that. And you're going to notice a theme in this show. Rocco Underwood's hustle to get down there. And then almost like this basketball rebound style where he suddenly sees the ball pop up and his hands just shoot up like that and kind of like boxes out. And that's great. That really is, because he's a kid that has done a job that doesn't get a lot of attention very well. Of course, he did have the big screw up with the bad snap against Georgia last year. So unfortunately, that's usually the only time a guy like him gets put in the spotlight for either good or bad. So it was nice to see him get a moment of positivity and a moment of recognition there. And then Jaden Baugh. It's not a great sign when you're running back leading receiver, and he did fumble. But that kid ran hard. That kid ran angry. Unlike a lot of his teammates, it seemed like he gave everything he had for the logo. And I guess we'll talk about that next. But there were a few other guys that I thought gave everything they had. And I do respect that. I do appreciate that. it's a very short list.
Well, spoiler alert. I mean, you pretty much just tapped into the play of the game and the player of the game right there on those two positives. So, we could just zoom to the end of the show and knock that out, because there's really not much more else for player of the game than Jaden Bogg. And for play of the game, the muff punt by the Kentucky punt returner. Thank you very much. Rocco Underwood's play, which probably saved
the shutout streak.
The shutout streak right there,
Yep.
bro. And that's in danger, Neil.
These next few games,
Probably next week. I mean, I'll be shocked if we don't score at least a field goal at home. Tennessee's defense has been awful all year, and Florida State, heck, they'll have about as less to play for as we do. So, but to next week's game, man, alert, man, for that shutout streak next week's game at Ole Miss. But, yeah, man. Let's see where it goes. Not a lot of positives, though.
You kind of touched on why I'm hesitant to call this rock bottom. First of all, we hit rock bottom last year against Texas A&M when the first two opponents that came to the Swamp, who were in the FBS, just embarrassed us. And ever since then, we have just been digging through the bedrock, and we are now approaching the Earth's core. So, like, rock bottom is no longer the rock bottom, so to speak, or the very bottom of the barrel that you can potentially reach. No, we have exceeded that. We have dug deeper beneath that. So we're a few more ugly moments away from just reaching molten lava at this point. Kentucky's not a good team, guys. Like, they're really, really not a good team. Came into this game 3-5 like Florida. But the more you start looking at their stats and the more you look at their team's makeup, it is just an ugly scene there. Mark Stoops, their coach, on the hot seat there. They don't even have any expectations there beyond just 7-5, 8-4, and occasionally 9-3. You'll get a lifetime contract for Kentucky football there. He's on the hot seat because he can't even meet that after having a fairly successful stretch in the late 2010s and then 2021, again, going 10-3 there too. This offense of Kentucky's is really, really bad. They were held to 14 points or fewer in 4 of their first 6 SEC games. They dropped 38 on Florida. Now, some of that's turnovers and some of that's on DJ Lagway. And we have to go and just pick the Gators apart here. We can't just throw DJ Lagway under the bus and take the cop-out approach and say, it's all DJ Lagway's fault. With Tremel Jones starting at quarterback, Florida probably wins the game. No, you don't know that. So start with Lagway. He was not good at all. 11 for 19, 83 yards, a touchdown to Jaden Ball on the slant route after the muff that Rocco Underwood recovered. 3 picks in the first half. It looked worse than the stats. He just looked lost. Looked like he'd never even seen a zone defense before. And that's the book on DJ Lagway. Throw some zone looks at him, he's not going to know what to do with it. 2 of his 3 picks were directly because of that. Multiple throws off target, multiple more throws just into double coverage and bad decisions. I'm a huge fan of DJ Lagway as a person, and I still do believe that he is salvageable with the right coach, the right offensive mind coming in. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. Adrian's shaking his head for those listening on audio. I'm not saying I bet on it, but I'm saying it's not like the story is not over yet for DJ Lagway. He's still got a lot of natural talent there, but that talent hasn't mattered at all this year, and it's led to one of the most disappointing seasons from a quarterback I've ever seen, for sure. Maybe you could say John Brantley in 2010 because he was also a 5-star recruit and he broke Tim Tebow's passing record. So maybe you can compare those two. But this is it's a historic regression from last year, and then it's just a historic failure to live up to expectations. But again, Lagway cannot be the only one we blame here. Adrian, you have been talking for weeks about how it's only a matter of time before this defense just wilts and implodes. Well, that's exactly what happened. Florida actually leads this game 7-3, and on the next 3 drives, Kentucky goes 9 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 12 plays, 59 yards, touchdown. 5 plays, 54 yards, touchdown. And now it's 24-7 and the game is over.
Yeah. When you look at my keys to the game last week, right, that we talked about it, my number 3 key, okay, very clearly, remember, was Billy G's going to have to tap into his Inky Johnson. And I think most everybody in our fan base, in our listening audience here knows who Inky Johnson is. But he's the motivational speaker, former Tennessee football player who became partially paralyzed in a football game, making a tackle. He was a defensive back, probably an NFL prospect. So now he's one of the best motivational speakers in the country. And anyways, I said that because I knew that there was a real good now, I wasn't predicting this, okay? Heck, I predicted 1913 in my little handy-dandy scoreboard thing. But I knew there was a possibility for a massive letdown in this game. Because when Billy becomes the interim, I always have a hard time saying that.
Intern.
I say intern, and it's interim.
Looked about as qualified as an intern to run a program.
Exactly.
But yeah.
It's kind of easy to motivate the team when the very first game right off the gate is Georgia. Your big rival, cocktail party.
And you have a bye.
And he had a bye to do it. The team, gets pepped up for that, fine. But once you lose that game, and you could have won it, but you still ended up losing it, now you're going on the road to Lexington. Man, everything was there for this to kind of happen. For the team to lay just a massive egg, stinkeroni. And that's what happened, man. And I've said it a lot for weeks on here, Neil, that Florida's best defensive games are behind them because, first of all, the defense was fresh back in the beginning of the season. The season was fresh. You had a bunch of players that are not with the defense no more because they're injured, out for the year, that were on the defense at the beginning of the season. And defense is hard to play, man. And you got to be motivated to play it. And you saw what an unmotivated defense is like. And this defense on Saturday was just atrocious. And obviously the offense just hasn't helped at all. But the defense has stood up, but no way, man. They had no clue out there. The DBs, Devin Moore played probably the worst game he's ever played in a Gator uniform. Sharif Denton as well. The linebackers, really didn't make any plays. The defensive line was getting handled. Just an unmotivated defense going through the motions. And that's what happened. Kentucky didn't have to punt, not even one time. They never punted.
They also turned it over twice, but yes.
Yeah, turned it over twice, thank gosh. Or else those probably would have been scoring drives too, right? But they never punted. You never forced them to punt. A couple of turnovers, thank God, and that's it. So, we could start talking about DJ if you want. That's the big topic, obviously. But this is just what an unmotivated team looks like. I don't know if it's going to get better next week at Ole Miss, to be honest with you. And then you hope once they come back to the swamp, they could get motivated for a couple of rivalry games to end the season. And if that happens, then they have a chance in those games. If it doesn't, then they'll go winless, unfortunately for Billy G, and end the season at 3-9, like I predicted in the
USF game
reaction show
after
the USF. I said I think this is a 3-9 football team, and I was out pretty much on that night on DJ Lagway. Go back to that show. We did it right here from my office here. We did it right here.
I was there. Yeah, I was there with you in person.
And, well, what I saw in DJ Lagway in that game was frightening. And, man, it hasn't gotten not 1 inch better. And it has nothing, squadooch, nothing to do with the time he missed in the spring and summer and whatever. It has nothing to do with that no more. He's already been playing already for 2 months of this season, and he looks like he started playing quarterback last week on the JV high school team. Okay, and I'm out on DJ Lagway. In fact, I hope he listens to this and he uses it as motivation and he becomes a Hall of Fame quarterback in the NFL. Because as of today, this date, I'm out on DJ Lagway.
Yeah, I mean the he missed time and he was injured stuff. That's all well and good for week 1 or even week 2, but like you start talking about him being the starting quarterback for multiple months and never getting benched despite any number of mess ups on the field or bad reads or missed calls or anything like that, and it gets impossible to defend. And I hate it for him. I really do. I know the kid works hard. It's just he's not getting the job done. And in fact, he's regressed, and it is a stunning regression from last year. Now, his mechanics were never perfect. He was never the textbook fundamentals guy, but they were always good enough. Going back to last year, he could get away with it. He would kind of sort of take some shortcuts here and there, but he could get away with taking some semi-shortcuts because his natural athleticism could put the ball exactly where he wanted it to. But he is just trying more and more to rely on natural athleticism and less on fundamentals and mechanics. The footwork is just terrifying. He's seeing ghosts throughout the field. Clearly, anytime someone throws a zone at him, he, like you said, doesn't look like he has any familiarity with the concept of the zone defense. Like I said, that's the book on him. You play man, he's going to beat you with a perfect throw. You play zone, he's going to look like a deer in headlights. Well, again, DJ Lagway throwing 3 picks in this game. The second time this year, he has thrown 3 or more picks. The first time, of course, also on the road, that one in Death Valley, where he threw 5, one of which was returned for a touchdown in the game that Florida lost 20-10. The picks weren't quite as devastating this time, but they were pretty bad. Just things you can't do. Florida was moving the ball some.
They were just bad throws, though. I mean, just bad throws. Behind receivers, he had that awful throw that he threw it to the safety when he missed, I guess it was VB3 going down.
The rainbow right down the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Rogers has just picked apart DJ Lagway the last 2 weeks. When you listen to Jordan Rogers, he has picked him apart. Just I mean, nothing else. Look, he makes me long for the days of Emory Jones and Felipe Franks, man. All right, he makes me wish that those guys were our quarterback. So that just goes to show you how bad it is. Probably the greatest bust in the history of Florida football. I don't even think there's a close second with everything that has been given to this individual in the NIL era. And that's going to happen now moving forward more, right? Because of the NIL and all the money that's being paid to these kids for never having done anything, which is what they had to do in the NFL. They had to instill a rookie salary cap because of that, because the veterans were going ballistic. Here are these rookie quarterbacks coming into the league, because it was mainly always quarterbacks, right? These rookie quarterbacks coming into the league making more money than guys that were like 5-8 year Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, a Jared Allen type.
Yeah. So they had to instill the rookie salary cap because of that, especially when they would bust out. Because when one of these quarterbacks bust out in the NFL, after they had paid them 20% of the salary for the entire team, it will set the franchise back years sometimes. And that could be the case here, Neil. We still don't know the ramifications of this DJ Lagway bust. We still don't know. What does his NIL contract say? Is he going to leave? What if a new coach comes in and says, man, listen, man, I looked at your film. I'm sorry, man, but, I'm bringing in a couple other quarterbacks. You're free to hit the portal. DJ says, nah, I'm good here. I like my NIL deal here. Yeah, well, no crap. You like your NIL deal. Does Florida have the option to get out of it?
It's not going to play out that way because other schools are
know.
still going to see the 5-star rating and they're going to say, yeah, you know what? I'm a better quarterbacks coach than Billy Napier, and I can develop you.
Are you telling me there's another school in this nation that's going to look at DJ Lagway's film and match his NIL deal that he has here?
Not his film from this year, his film from 24.
No way. No,
because
way.
they'll get big heads and they'll think I can develop him better than Billy Napier.
No
I don't know
way.
who, but someone will try it.
They will not. No way. No one in their right mind will do that. They will bring him in maybe at a much greater discount, and at that point, it'll be DJ Lagway who has to make the decision. Do I want to go somewhere that wants me and maybe develops me, and I could look for maybe future for my future, or do I stay at Florida? This coach who's coming in just told me that I'm going to have to compete and that he's bringing in one or two other guys to compete against me, and I got to give up my multi-million-dollar contract. I don't know. What will he do? What will you do if that was you? I don't know.
I mean, look, no one knows that. The first thing is you have to get the right coach in. Like that comes before anything else. And it's at this point that now I think we need to reserve a moment of silence for anyone who back as far as last year said, well, if you fire Billy, you're getting rid of Lagway too. If Napier walks, Lagway walks too. You run that? What's the response to that now? I'm not even going to finish the sentence. I'm just going to I'm just going to sit here and let that silence linger in the air. So anyone who said that watching this can think about what you did there. But look, Lagway being ineffective and downright detrimental is not the story here because we already knew that. We already saw him do these kinds of things in the first 8 games of the year. He has not gotten better. We know who he is. We know what he is. To me, the story is the defense because that is the new development. That is the differing piece of data compared to what we had in the first 8 games of the year. And talk to the start of the show about how bad Kentucky's offense is. It is a pitiful offense. They came into this game averaging 346.1 yards per game, which was outside of the top 100 in the FBS, or it was outside the top 100. And that number, 346.1 yards per game, that factored in payday games against Toledo and Eastern Michigan. And they were still outside the top 100 in terms of yards per game allowed. 401 yards dropped on this Florida defense. That's what you talked about, Adrian. Next week's going to be ugly. We talked about, does Florida get motivated to play a couple home games against rivals? I don't know, but now we're seeing guys start to opt out of the season. We saw it with Tank Hawkins, a wide receiver. How long before some defensive guys start doing that? Maybe they won't have the year of eligibility that they can preserve with the 4-game redshirt rule, but maybe they'll just say, you know what? My leg is hurting. I don't feel like effing it up any further. I'm out. I'm done. It's hurting me. Sorry, coach. My leg's hurting. I can't run anymore. When they wouldn't do that if Florida was currently 9-1 and in the chase for the CFP. I bet that's going to happen to someone. I don't know who, but I bet that happens to someone on this defense. So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to say. It's embarrassing. It's disgraceful to the program. It's not even to me as a fan, as a booster, but think about, just take a second, and he cannot say anything about this. So we're going to have to say this for him. Think about what is going through the mind of Brandon Spikes right now. A guy who gave his heart and soul. Think about what's going through the mind of a Major Wright and Ahmad Black right now. Percy's not close to Gainesville anymore, but those 3 guys, Major Wright, Ahmad Black, Brandon Spikes, are all close to Gainesville. They frequently show up at games. They can't say anything too negative because they want to keep the relationships going. This has to be eating them up inside to watch this product. They went up against those Tim Tebow offenses with Percy Harvin and Chris Rainey and Jeff Dempson, Chico, and so on and so forth. They know what Florida's offensive output is supposed to look like, and they know what Florida's defensive output is supposed to look like. And now it is both sides of the football that is disgracing that logo that they literally Major Wright almost killed a guy for with that hit against Oklahoma. So that is something that I feel probably the most strongly about. Like I'm pissed as a fan, as a booster, but I cannot imagine being a former player who won stuff here and watching this and just not knowing how to process it. And with that, I mean, Adrian, unless you got anything else, I think we're good to go on to the final word, because this is there's nothing else to really say.
So we'll have a few more weeks to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we'll go to the final word. But one thing that I do want to talk about later on this season is something that I brought up at the beginning of the year after the USF game, basically, was the mismanagement of DJ during the offseason. I would love to know the truth, what happened during the offseason. I wish we had some real investigative reporters on our beat here in Gainesville that could, really dig into the nitty-gritty and bring out all those ugly facts out, because they're probably going to be ugly, because obviously the guy's not healthy. I won't be surprised if he needs surgery and miss this entire offseason again, So we'll see. But we have time to talk about that. Let's get into the
very quickly, though, before we do. That's why I'm a little hesitant to throw DJ under the bus too much, because he's not the coach. He's the player. But if he's getting damaging coaching instructions and or management, he's not going to defy the orders. He's going to do what he's told to do. So at some point, you got to toss this stray to Billy Napier again as the head coach and as the offensive coordinator. We're going to talk about that in the offseason. But yeah, we're going to save the historical part of this. I put it out on Twitter. I said that there's a handful of losses that all have a contentious argument for the worst loss in Gator football, or the most embarrassing, I should say, the most embarrassing loss in school history. This is absolutely in the conversation. After I don't want to let recentism and the heat of the moment and the freshness of this sway the decision at all. So, Adrian, we're going to table that until after the season.
Yeah, after the season. But we have to keep in mind, Neil, I don't know if it's that bad of a loss. Kentucky owns us, baby. 4 out of the last 5 years.
Okay, they haven't beaten us this badly since 1950.
They own the Gators, baby. I mean, it's just
they own Billy Napier. They own Billy Napier. Dan Mullen at least fought them to a draw. They played 4 times and he split them.
Just another ass whooping at the hands of the Kentucky. And I made fun of them at the beginning of the season at our preseason show with Allie and with Chris from SECU. I made fun of, nobody goes into Kroger Field and pushes them around, when I predicted us winning by like 30 points probably. Woo! Okay, let's move on, Neil.
That's a good final point to bring up in the show before we do final word. It's funny you say that, because everybody pushes them around except for Florida. In the last 3 seasons, that's 2023, 2024, and 2025, they have played 12 SEC football games at Kroger Field. They are 2-0 against Florida, and they are 0-10 against every other SEC team in the last 3 seasons.
Woo.
Both of those wins were by blowout. 33-14 2 years ago, 38-7 here. They are not nail biters. They are not, there was a bad call, or the guy dropped it, but if he catches that ball, Florida wins. No, there's no coin flip proposition. Florida got their skulls smashed in 2 times in a row in Lexington. And now, like you said, Kentucky winning 4 out of the last 5. We got to start thinking about them in a little bit more high regard. All right, final word. Let's be done with this. And we can move on to basketball stuff. We got FSU coming up on Tuesday. Luke Laug says the Seminoles looking somewhat respectable, albeit through 2 games. But, yeah, we're going to look forward to that. All right, play of the game. What do you got?
Real quick, to wrap it up, play of the game is the muff punt, like we talked about. Player of the game is Jaden Bogg, the only guy out there that, to me, looked like he was really, really just giving it his all, man. Stiff arming, running hard, getting hit like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, having to break like 5 tackles before he even got to the line of scrimmage because our offensive line, is just absolute trash. I mean, they were actually ranked like in the top 5 in the nation to begin the year by some publications. Good Lord. Then grades, I got Fs across the board except for special teams. I gave special teams a B because of that big play on special teams. Rocco Underwood, like you said, with the basketball maneuver like that to get that ball. Other than that, Fs, however you want to categorize it. Fs for everybody except for those things we talked about. How about you, buddy?
I mean, I'm going to give Fs across the board. I'm going to fail special teams too. Tommy Dolman has his worst night yet as a punter. Rocco Underwood made the right play. He's there. I give him credit for that. That's an individual effort. The unit as a whole was a failure. And I'll give special teams just like an ordinary, like semi-respectable F, like a 45 out of 100 grade, or a 50 out of 100 grade. It's a failure, but the offense, the defense, and the special teams, they all get that F.
Yeah.
It could not have been any worse. The one touchdown Florida gets is a gift that we're set up inside their red zone.
11 yards. Short field. 11 yards.
Defense has its worst. Actually, no, I cannot say this is the worst night it's had in the Billy Napier era, the quasi-Billy Napier era, because they also gave up 700 yards to LSU and then gave up a 4th and 17 to Missouri the week after that, and that's the year after they had the worst defense statistically in school history. So the defense being bad is nothing new for the Napier era. It's just new for this year's team. It was one of the few things that they did well as the losses piled up like autumn leaves. That is no longer the case. It is now embarrassing the program as well.
And lastly, Neil, real quick, also on topic for future shows coming up here, especially wrap-up shows of the season. This is what happens when you don't have alignment in your organization, okay? Your org chart has to be in alignment from the coach to the athletic director to your president to some schools have a provost or whoever. They all have to be in alignment with the same goals, the same focus. We haven't had that here. The one constant is Scott Strickland. We don't even have a president. I've heard rumblings that the UAA is starting to clean house. We've had some good news of some people retiring, but we'll have to look forward to the end of the year. But this is something that's got to be talked about. Scott Strickland just is a one-man wrecking crew of the Florida football program, and he's gonna have to get lucky. He's gonna have to get lucky with this coaching hire that he's probably making maybe 50% of it, and the coach is gonna have to bail him out.
I was gonna say he has to 50%. He has to be completely removed from the operation. He cannot have a single thing to do with it. If we are to rationally believe that this coaching hire is going to work out, he cannot conduct the interview. He cannot be at the negotiation table to discuss the terms. He cannot even sit there and announce the new coach because that would imply that he has anything to do with it. And we know Todd Golden aside, even though Billy Donovan did hand him that recommendation, but almost every single coach he's hired at Florida has been a failure, some of which have been in disastrous fashions, 2 of which had to be fired because they were abusing their athletes. So look, maybe that's a lightning striking twice kind of thing, but it's also a pattern when you hire 9 coaches at Florida and 5 of them have winning percentages against SEC competition of less than 40%. It's the data. I'm just reading off the score sheet here. That's what's happened when he's hired coaches here. He got lucky, like you said, with Golden.
But there'll be plenty of time for future shows to go over that.
Yeah,
we'll see. But that was the good wrap. Hey, that's a good wrap up of the Kentucky game, man. What more can you say about that? It is what it is.
Yeah, and it's over. That's the positive. The game is over now.
That might have been actually the real play of the game. Was the final snap? Whistle.
Yeah, the clock hitting 0. No, you know what? Actually, no. You know what the play of the game was? This is the perfect epitome of where Florida is right now as a program. So if you're on social media, you watching, listening to this, you probably saw or heard Zach Calzada, the quarterback who transferred to them after being benched and then basically cut from not one but two other SEC programs, Auburn and Texas A&M first, and then Auburn. And then he gets hurt. He comes to Kentucky. He gets hurt. He's not great anyway before he gets hurt. And then he has the audacity, despite his lack of success, to start flashing cash everywhere and just make a jerk off of himself in this video he posts. And he gets a lot of heat for it. He gets a lot of flack for it. And what happens? Why do I bring that up here? Well, because this game got so ugly that his replacement, the guy who took his job as Kentucky's quarterback, Cutter Boley, went over to him on the sidelines and started doing the celebration with him, flashing the cash, making fun of Zach Calzada in a hilarious way that Calzada was clearly on board with and very much enjoyed. That is how bad this game was. I got nothing else.
I think that's a great wrap up there. We'll do a little money sign, like Manziel. Remember Manziel? Or like our student section does that makes a lot of noise on third down.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think there were some studies that just got released that actually rubbing your fingers together is almost as loud as actually using your voice and your vocal cords, right?
Oh, God.
All right. Well, look, in all kinds of weather means in all kinds of weather. I am, for some reason, going to the Mississippi game. I am flying out to Memphis for that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so think about that. You call me a fake weather or fair weather fan. Really regretting that right now. But I'll be there and I'll be cheering on the Gators. In fact, I'm going to the last three games because I'm going to Tennessee and FSU as well. So I'll be there. I'll be cheering on the Gators. But man, is it rough right now. So that's all we got for now. We'll talk more basketball soon too. Basketball season is heating up, like I touched on earlier. FSU comes to town. Luke Laux has a more respectable program. I think Leonard Hamilton kind of let things slip there. Then you get the Miami Hurricanes in Jacksonville.
Hey, I got Miami fans talking trash, man, saying they got a good team that they're gonna take it to us. So we'll see.
We'll see. Their coach, Jai Lucas, is a former Gator player.
Gator.
Yeah, also a former Texas Longhorn. But yeah, that's all for now. This was an all-time bad loss. I think as more time elapses and we further distance ourselves from it, we can kind of unpack the historical enormity of it and the gravity of it. But for now, I'm just going to let it lie. Neil Shulman, all kinds weather. He's Adrian Perez. We'll catch you next time. And we are hoping as much as you are that we have something a little bit more fun to talk about.